Have you ever looked at a newborn baby and just wondered, what is really going on in there? Today, we're unlocking the secret world of the first 2 years of life. We're going to pull back the curtain on what's happening inside that tiny body and that incredibly busy brain. When you look at a newborn, it's so easy to just see helplessness, right? They sleep, they cry, they eat, and that's about it. But here's the secret. Beneath that fragile exterior, there is an absolute powerhouse of built-in survival tools and a mind that is already working overtime to figure out the world. So, what are they truly capable of? Let's dive in. Okay, so the first piece of the puzzle is what we could call a newborn's secret toolkit. These are a bunch of involuntary, unlearned actions that are absolutely essential for survival, right from their very first breath. We call them reflexes. So what's a reflex? Think of it like pre-installed software on a brand new computer. It's a hardwired motor action that just happens. For doctors, these reflexes are a super important diagnostic tool. Seeing them there at birth, and just as importantly, seeing them disappear over the first few months is a huge sign that a child's nervous system is developing exactly like it should. And there are a bunch of really key ones. You've got rooting and sucking, which are obviously for feeding. The Moro or startle reflex, that's where they throw their arms out when they're surprised. It might just be an evolutionary leftover from when our ancestors needed to cling to their parents. The stepping reflex looks like they're trying to walk. It's all part of this incredible survival package they're born with. To really get a sense of how powerful these reflexes are, just look at the palmar grasp. You put your finger in a baby's palm, they grip it instantly. But get this, in the first week of life, that grip is so ridiculously strong that a newborn can literally support its own body weight. I mean, that is an incredible display of innate power. So reflexes are the automatic stuff. But how does a newborn actually experience the world? Well, you might be surprised to find out that their senses are incredibly well-tuned, right from the moment they're born. They can tell the difference between all the basic tastes, and no surprise here, they really prefer sweet things, which makes perfect sense, because breast milk is sweet. They're drawn to their own mother's scent, which is a powerful way to start bonding. They're sensitive to touch, and their hearing, it's been working for months in the womb, already pre-tuned to love the sound of human voices. But here's the twist. While all these other senses are pretty much good to go, one of them is lagging way behind, and that's vision. By far, it's the least developed sense at birth. A newborn's world is blurry. Their best focus is only about 8 to 12 inches away, which, when you think about it, is the perfect distance to see the face of the person feeding them. But even with that fuzzy vision, newborns know what they like to look at. This slide shows the results from Robert Fance's famous experiments. He showed infants a bunch of different patterns and just measured how long they stared at each one. I mean, the bar chart makes it totally obvious. Babies spent way more time looking at a human face than anything else. It shows this innate, powerful draw to the people who take care of them. Okay, so this brings us to the most dramatic, most incredible part of our story, the absolute explosion of growth happening inside an infant's head. Welcome to the brain's Big Bang. A baby is born with almost all the neurons it will ever have. We're talking around 100 billion of them. But here's the thing, and this is the most important part. Just having the neurons isn't the whole story. The real magic is in how these neurons connect with each other. This process of building connections has a fancy name, synaptogenesis. But you can just think of it as a massive, genetically programmed wiring project. The brain isn't just sitting there, it is furiously building a network of pathways, connecting everything to everything else. And this slide really gives you a sense of the sheer scale of that project. The density of these connections, or synapses, just explodes in the first 2 years. By the time a baby is 18 months old, its brain has about 50% more synapses than an adult brain. It's just bursting with potential. But more isn't always better. To become truly efficient, the brain has to do some spring cleaning. And that process is called pruning. It is the ultimate use it or lose it system. The connections that get used and strengthened by experience, they stick around. But the ones that are neglected, well, they get eliminated. So let's just put these two critical ideas side by side. Synaptogenesis is the building phase. It creates all this amazing potential, and it's mostly driven by our genes. Then comes pruning. That's the refining phase, which makes the whole brain more efficient. And here's the key. Experience is the master architect here. Experience decides which connections get to stay. This whole use it or lose it principle has some really profound implications. It means an infant's day-to-day experiences are literally physically shaping the structure of their brain. Which, of course, leads to a question that has launched a billion-dollar industry. If experience shapes the brain, can we kind of supercharge a baby's environment with special DVDs, flashcards, all those classes, to make them smarter? Well, the research on this is overwhelmingly clear. The answer is a simple and very emphatic no. Let's just look at the data. Studies on those DVD and flashcard reading programs, they found zero difference in vocabulary or reading skill. General TV watching for little kids, no difference in language or motor skills. But what's really striking is this last one. A study on Baby Einstein DVDs found that for every hour these babies watched, they actually learned 6 to 8 fewer new words. So these products aren't just ineffective, they might actually be counterproductive. So if it's not the fancy products, what does the brain need? It all comes down to a concept called experience expectant development. And what that means is the brain isn't waiting for flashcards or special apps. It has evolved for thousands of years to expect ordinary, universal human experiences. So, the most important takeaway is this. The incredibly complex architecture of the human brain is built on a foundation of really simple, ordinary experiences. Being talked to, being held and cuddled, and being given the chance to safely explore the world. That is the real brain-building work. And that leaves us with a final thought, right? The very same processes that built a newborn's brain also built yours. The pathways for language, for emotion, for thought, were all paved by a symphony of ordinary little moments. So as we close out, here's something to think about. Which ordinary experiences built you?